Here we go. Here we go, brownies. The kids cardiac, catch me in the Muni where the party at. Dog pound, turn up with the elf up on my starter cap. Brought him back, boy we from the land and we proud of that. Louder man, front to the back, here we go, I got him shouting that. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Game on the line, Joe Thomas, I promise. Jim Brown running through opponents, how I got this. I return like Josh Cripps. Hand for the mini, got the dog pound jumping. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Stand up. Here we go, brownies. Let's go.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Mr. Hero's turning 60. We're proud to have served your favorite cravings for 60 years in celebrating what we do best. Thanks, Ohio.
I crave a hero.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Allie Ellery, coming at you live from Pensacola, Florida. Joined with me, as always, we've got Dustin out in snowy Cleveland. Before we get into it, guys, you just heard from our friends over at Mr. Hero. If you haven't already, please download their app. You can get buy one, get one offers just for signing up. We've got plenty of locations all over Northeast Ohio. You can order food within the app, build rewards. Great app. Please be sure to download that so you can get some good food. Dustin, how's it going?
Good. And as I say, they are doing the 25 days of Christmas on Facebook. So go in and all the different contesting they're doing every single day with Mr. Hero to win like food for a year. They're doing all kinds of fun stuff. So do the 25 days of Christmas. We've been sharing that on our face. I'm cold, Allie. I'm just cold. I go outside. Broncos cold. I'm cold. I don't, I come from cold. And people are like, well, didn't you have snow and cold in Idaho? I'm like, yeah, I did. But you know what I didn't have? Wind. Consistent wind. Just wind every day, just hitting you. It is very unforgiving. But no, we got 3 to 5 to 10 inches around in the suburbs around here. So very snowy, warmed up. Roads are good though. They know how to fix the roads around here. That's the one thing. They do know how to clear the roads. But yeah, I was sitting here going, it's December 3rd. And I was like, it's not going to be nice again till May. I was like, not till May. And they're like, well, don't be thinking it like that way. I'm like, you kind of have to. It's going to be like this for 4 or 5 months.
Listen, winter for me is never fun. I love the cold, so that's why I live in Florida, not Ohio. But it always seems to me that when I was living in Ohio, it was always colder in the winter when the Browns were losing. When the Browns were having a really it really sucks. What am I doing? What am I doing here?
No disclosure, speaking of that, my buddy Brian from work, we went to the game on Sunday, and then Hanford's like, hey, do you want to wander around and go to the suites and stuff like that? So we ended up following up with Eric Metcalf, and just hanging out and having fun was a lot more fun than watching the game that was really kind of going away for the Browns.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I want to kind of touch back on the loss against the Niners. There was a lot that was left on the field. I want to unpack that a little bit. Of course, we're going to bring David on, the medical moment. Unfortunately, some things to talk about there with Dr. David Ullery, and of course, we're going to go around the league. Let's start with what happened on Sunday. Obviously, when we came on this show, we were like, wow, that sucked. We haven't had a ton of time to digest what happened in that game, go back, watch the film, learn a little bit more about it. But having done so now, there's some things there that I think a lot of people would like to have back. One, I will say this, for as bad as the offensive line has been this season, and I still think that they are a huge issue for offense and for this team as a whole, I think that they played one of their better games. We saw that kind of translate into the run game. Quinshawn had one of his better games. I think he was averaging 4 a pop. Certainly better than what it had been. There were holes available. There were plays there to be made. Guys were getting to the second level. And that's not something we've seen a lot out of this team or out of this offensive line a ton this season. So kind of refreshing there. Shador, I think initially we came away from that game thinking, okay, it was fine. Going back to it, there was a lot there. He missed some and look, guys, very small sample size for Shedeur Sanders. He's going to have his ups and downs. I'm not calling for him to be benched or anything like that. I just think this was probably his worst game so far out of 2. So take that with a grain of salt out of 2 starting games. Some, the anticipatory stuff needs to be there. Didn't have a lot of that. You saw Jerry Jeudy get in his face on the sideline. At face value, I was like, didn't love it. Well, going back and watching it, Jerry Jeudy, he had his guys beat a lot of the day. So there were plays there that I think you could have won that game. Certainly they didn't. One of the biggest reasons being special teams. Special teams was egregious, has been egregious all season, and really just reared its ugly head in this game. And I think one of the reasons that the Browns couldn't come away with a win. Let's talk about what happened on special teams. And I want to start by saying Gage Larvadain has been good most of this season. He had a bad play. I don't really fault him for that. That was just a bad, ugly play. He muffed it, lost it. They scored. Unfortunate, but it was bad weather, whatever. Where I draw a huge issue, Dustin, is the Browns' inability to just have good coverage units on special teams. Their lack of ability to stop the play, and really they shoot themselves in the foot on special teams, especially on coverage. That being a consistent issue, you just have to point the finger at coaching here. Additionally, I think Corey Bojorquez is having not his best season. Unfortunately, not able to flip the field in several assets. When you look at what the Niners were able to do offensively, well, they were doing it because they only had, in a lot of cases, less than 30 yards to go before they were reaching the end zone. So just a bad performance. It sucks. But I think this was a winnable game. Certainly offensively, there were plays left to be made, but that's going to happen. I think, unfortunately, special teams was the reason he didn't come away with a win on Sunday.
Well, yeah. I mean, I went to New York and just was beside myself what I saw unravel in New York, the kickoff and the punt return. And then, several weeks later, having the same issues, right? That's a problem, right? At that point, it's a consistent problem. And to your point, it's happened all year long. It's not getting better. It's getting worse, in my opinion, with not being able to be out there and be in the right assignments. Now, that's not a player thing. That's a coaching thing, in my opinion, because, new team comes into town. You know what you're coming up against. You've studied the film. You got to put your guys in the best position on special teams to be in the best position to win on special teams. And see multiple coverages being blown over multiple weeks just makes me want to lose it. What I mean by that is, if you look at the San Francisco game and you just dial it in like you were saying, the muff punt is what it is. But to start the game off, giving them all that field position to just basically give them a free touchdown to start the game, and then turn around with the muff punt. And then, of course, this wasn't on special teams, but then the 4th and 1, you take that in a microcosm, those 3 possessions, they all led to touchdowns.
Right.
Guess what? Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they have 24 points in the game? Wasn't that 24 was the final, or 27 was the final score for them? So if you take those 3 possessions,
26, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 20. Yeah. So just take those, right? Right there. 3 of those led to the Browns literally not getting a half yard on the 4th and 1, or 4th or whatever it was. And then those 2 costly special teams. I mean, that is the microcosm of that football game. I mean, the Browns. Really. The Browns don't play defense on special teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't play. The defense did what they were supposed to do. The special teams imploded, and the offense just couldn't get going. I mean, as many times as you give the other team an opportunity, like, now they're just going to rear their ugly heads back and blitz, right? Like, now they're just going to come.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, you've got a Robert Saleh-led 49ers defense, and that's what they do. They're going to pin their ears back. They're going to get after you, especially when you're starting a 5th-round rookie quarterback that's starting his, 2nd game. Why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
Just to see what you have, and especially going back, watching what Baltimore did to Shedeur Sanders. You bring pressure. He's uncomfortable. He's going to turn the ball over. That's what they wanted to do. Now, it didn't really equate to a lot of big time issues on offense, other than not being able to really see the field in the way that I would like for him to be able to going forward.
Fair.
The issue is is and was special teams, and it has continued to just be one of the biggest and ugliest issues of this entire season. And again, you just point the finger to coaching. We talk about field position, Dustin, and how important that was. Another one that we didn't mention was touching the ball or catching the ball off, and instead of it letting it go out of bounds. And that was just a costly mistake. Now, I understand that Bubba Ventrone wasn't the one that went out there and caught that ball in bounds and made the play, but my issue lies with Malachi Corley not understanding the rule. You mean to tell me that you're sending somebody out there, a receiver, by the way, he is naturally a receiver, to play on special teams who doesn't have an in-depth, comprehensive understanding of the rules? That alone is the issue. Not the play that was made. It was the kind of what led to that. Players sometimes are going to make boneheaded plays, but the constant issue being a lack of discipline and accountability throughout the entire season is just maddening. It is maddening. I don't blame the players. Look, we've got on paper, and I know this doesn't matter, on paper, you've got a great roster. You've got some great players that are going to go out there and give you their all every single solitary week. I will just continue to say we've got a really bad accountability and leadership, ultimately coaching problem on this Browns team, Dustin.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. The more I feel and hear, I think both are safe. I think Andrew Berry and Stefanski, because I feel the reason I kind of feel that as well is he was given 2 rookie quarterbacks to basically compete through the entire season with, right? How successful are you going to be as a head coach having 2 rookies that have, and they're not, top of the heap, can't miss kind of quarterback there. So I don't know, like it's coaching, but I don't know, like I can't wrap my head around like the games they lose, they just lose bad. And the games they win are close, except for the exception of the Dolphins game, which obviously there was a lot of turnovers in that game, which led to the Browns scoring the most points they did this year. But it just, I just feel like it's maybe not even a coaching thing. It might be more of a culture thing for me when you look at this football team.
Coaching is the core of it, right? The coach is responsible for developing a winning culture, or just a culture, culture of accountability, a culture of just, drive, give a damn. And that has not been the case under Kevin Stefanski in his tenure with the Browns. It has been a lack of discipline. How many times, Dustin, have we gotten on this show and talked about just one bonehead decisions from coaching? Like, why on planet Earth would you go for it there, or call a timeout? If you've ever played Madden, that's not what you do, this, that, and the other. But also just like a lack of accountability. For example, you've got a very special teams issue. If you want to display, hey, we are accountable here and what is happening is unacceptable, fire Bubba Ventrone. Show the world that you are creating a culture of accountability. Now, look, we're not in the room. We don't know, but we've got a huge identity crisis. We've had a huge identity crisis. And you look at these players, you've got guys in their prime, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. I mean, we can name so many that will go out and give you their all every single play. Well, but when it's not a culture of accountability and winning and heart, it's like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Well, and we were talking about this, just kind of talking shop around the office. I kind of feel like this might be a thing too. And this is just the truth about coaching. You kind of get to a point where your time has ran kind of out, if that makes sense. Like your tenure is kind of ran its course. And I think the Browns with Kevin Stefanski, that might be the case here, where the coach that we hired that was a 2-time coach of the year, that the stick that's been bought into for the last is kind of ran its course. And the reason I make reference to that is because look what happened. I mean, look what's happening in Pittsburgh. You have people booing in the crowd and asking for Tomlin to be fired. But you're also hearing pundits from across the country saying the same thing, going, he's not a terrible coach. It's just that 10 years kind of ran out, right? Like
changes the scenery. Just like
Yeah.
With anybody in any industry, if you do the same thing, even if you're so good at your job, sometimes you just need a change of scenery. Maybe you've got a bad boss, or you don't like the dynamic, whatever. You just need to go change, and you thrive in that new environment. And I encourage everybody that in my life, my friends, my family, if they're in a stale environment, go get something else. Go rejuvenate your soul. Go get another job. You're going to thrive. And that oftentimes we see this, even with players, coaches, executives, just a change of scenery doesn't work. I mean, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, eventually, possibly Mike Tomlin. Crazy to think, but
yeah. Well, that's what I said. I think someone like Mike Tomlin in Cleveland would thrive because of the kind of culture that he brings and accountability to the locker room. I think he's a player's coach, and I think people really buy into that and believe in what he's trying to put forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that would fit. And then, like, Kevin Stefanski might be a great fit in, like, New York, right? Like, I just think there are these things that you look at from a microcosm where it's kind of ran its course, and now that person just needs to make a new move and a new destination with a new fresh. I mean, Andy Reid, right? Kind of ran his course in Philadelphia, but now, man, he's looking great in Kansas City, right? So just those types of things, sometimes they just run their course. I mean, we see it time and time again. A coach just needs a different scenery and a fresh start to kind of re-energize. Because, I mean, it can't be easy coaching the Cleveland Browns. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. I mean, you're playing quarterback carousel, 42 and counting, okay? Your front office is aggressive, and sometimes you're just stranglehold by what the front office does, or and if I'm a coach, now Stefanski is kind of the outlier here, but for 25 years, hey, if you don't get it right in 2 years, we're bringing another new head coach in. And so I don't want to coach here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a thing, right? Like, well, I guess if we don't win 8, 9, 10 games, I'm out in 2 years, right? Like, that's a real thing here.
And that, I think, actually, our current reality with this coaching situation is stemmed from that. We saw Jimmy Haslam come in and very quickly move off of some coaches, maybe a little prematurely. And he kind of had to learn his lesson the hard way with that. And ultimately, you have a disaster with the Hugh Jackson situation into Freddie Kitchens, which that was never going to work. But then you bring in somebody like Kevin Stefanski, who it works a little bit at the start, and you have some hope and promise. But then kind of quickly, you're like, okay, maybe this isn't the right fit, but maybe taking a little bit too long to move off of him. So we're in this like weird thing where Jimmy almost course corrected a little bit too hard in the wrong direction. So I think Kevin, if he leaves Cleveland, he's going to go get another job. And I think he will be successful in some capacity. I do. I think that he's a very smart guy. I think he's a good coach. I just think that sometimes the ship has sailed, and maybe that's not totally crazy. All right, real quick before we move on here, got to get through a couple of these. Sorry, we went on a little bit of a tangent. Guys, if you don't have stadium mustard in your kitchen this season, you're doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste blood from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium mustard is a smooth brown mustard, rich in both taste and tradition. By the way, it is loved by millions, so be sure to head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now. And listen, you can put that stadium mustard on your city barbecue. Head on over barbecue. They've got award-winning sauces, sides, meats. They can cater your event. You can go into their restaurant. It is wonderful. They're great people. I know we just missed Thanksgiving has already gone by, but if for your upcoming holiday parties, please consider City Barbecue. They do it right. And before we move on, Dustin.
I was going to say real quick, our friends over at Stadium Mustard partnered with Hall of Fame Beef to do a package where you get Stadium Mustard and all of Joe Thomas's amazing meats. So check that out. It's a package that has the Stadium Mustard and all the great things that Joe Thomas offers.
Yep. There you go. There you have it. Dustin, tell our listeners about Primetime.
Guys, if you haven't been to Primetime, get in there. They have 3 different stores. Of course, they have their store in Streetsboro. Well, actually 4. So you have Streetsboro, Hartville, and, of course, the one at Great Northern Mall and down there at the Belden Village in Canton. Great Christmas items. Great time to do that. And, by the way, if you want something framed, they can do it. Doesn't matter if it's something you already have. Get in there. They're going to be doing some Ohio State Buckeye signings, and some players will be coming in December, so we'll get those out there. I know I've listed some of those, but they're going to have a handful of some Buckeyes, number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah, that's true. Jason, this is a safe space, man. Let it out, let it rip. That's what we're here for. If you're thinking about maybe some Christmas gifts, holiday gifts, check out We Bleed Ohio. They can do custom basketball, football, baseball apparel. And of course, you get your official Here We Go Brownies podcast hat, t-shirts, sweatshirts. Sweatshirts, you're going to need them. It's cold in Ohio. All right. With that, let's bring David onto the program. This is brought to you by our friends over at Lorella Vineyards.
Here we go, Brownies Nations. We are here with Larry Lorello at Huntington Field to talk about Here We Go Brownies wine and all the other amazing wines at Lorella Vineyards.
Yeah, I just want to tell all of you guys, it's harvest season right now. We just started with some of the whites, and reds will be coming in next. Stop out at the winery, all the wineries out in Northeast Ohio, for to check out all the harvest and what we're doing out there. Really good time right now.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Here we go.
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof.
All right, let's bring him on, the husband of the program, Dr. David Ellery. Hi, David.
Hello, Allie and Dustin. What's up?
What's happening?
Hey, so David, for once, we have some breaking medical news that breaks on before the show starts. So,
that we do. There's some big news going around Cleveland today.
Yeah. So you actually get to talk about the breaking news actually after it happened, instead of 6 days later, because it breaks on a Thursday or Friday after the show.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we can get right into it. Obviously, sorry, I got a birdie here in my mouth. The elephant in the room is that Deshaun Watson practiced today. His 21-day window has opened. So what does that mean? I know it's all over, but just to kind of reiterate it for anybody not aware of kind of the details, he has been on the PUP list, or the physically unable to participate list, for an off-season injury. We know he had his repeat surgery in January after re-tearing his Achilles. And so he has finally been open to his practice window. So essentially the Browns have 21 days to determine if they are going to roster him fully for the remainder of the season, or if he will be on then the IR for the rest of it. And once he goes on it after that 21 days, he could not come back onto the active roster. And so 3 weeks, we're already in week 14. And so, is he going to be ready right away? I mean, we saw, I don't know if you guys saw the video. I'm sure you did. He's looking, fairly fluid out there. Obviously, still, I wouldn't say full speed, but definitely out there moving, looking like, he's definitely at least got his, bearings about him when it comes to Achilles. But, is he going to be, ready to come play on week 17 or 18 to finish out the year? I don't know. I think my first instinct is that this is more just hey, let's get him out there, show that he is still capable and can practice, get some tape from practice on it, and either hold on to that for next year, or if they want to use that for trades or something. I don't know, but I don't see him at this point in the year starting a game. I don't see why. I mean, I know that it's kind of let's give Dylan his chance, which they did. Now Shadour's getting his chance. So either way, Deshaun's practicing. He was limited, but he was a participant. And we'll see how he does the rest of this week. I would expect to see him as the emergency QB this week in terms of how that works, or if he's even activated. I mean, technically he's not activated. He's just in his practice window. So he may not even be technically rostered for the game, which I'd expect this first week not to be. But then after that, I'd imagine maybe emergency QB, just depending on if, anybody else gets hurt. But I don't know. I just think it's more about getting him some reps with the team in practice than it is actually about getting him on the field for a game.
Look, I believe that we have seen possibly the last of Deshaun Watson in a Browns uniform when it comes down to it. Barring any kind of emergency situation where he would have to come in, David, like you kind of alluded to. I think that you've given Dylan six or seven games, if you will, to put some tape out there. They're going to do the same thing with Shador. Look, you're going into this next season with 2 first-round picks, very likely going to be taking a quarterback, regardless of what's happening with Deshaun Watson. You want to see what you have in Shador Sanders, so you're going to give him the opportunity to start the rest of the season. I think that makes the most sense. Barring any kind of catastrophic situation, I'm hopeful, and I believe that we may not see Deshaun Watson in a round 2.
Can I throw a wrinkle into this? And because this is Cleveland. I was thinking about this. Okay, so the Browns they got 2 quarterbacks. You go into next year, you have a guy that you're paying $50 to $60 million next year to sit on the bench, theoretically, right? If you have an open competition at camp, right? And you play all these quarterbacks, and of course, at that point, Deshaun Watson is healthy. If he's your best quarterback that rolls out, even with the guy you draft, are you going to play somebody that's worse? Like, I mean, to me, that's a real scenario that could take place. Because, I mean, Mary Kay made a comment like, right now, the best quarterback on the Browns roster is Deshaun Watson, based on talent and all of those things. So I thought it was really interesting. Like, I mean, you're paying him $50 million. If he gives you the best chance to win, do you put him out there? I'm saying, even if you draft a quarterback and he doesn't look like he's the part, you know, I mean, I feel like
where in the season that would happen, right? Because then you have to ask yourself, well, what is it that the Browns want to achieve here? Do they want to go get another quarterback, right? If they've got, let's just say they draft Fernando Mendoza and he is somehow a just horrible bust, and it's evident in the first 6 games that he is horrific.
right.
And they say, all right, next year we're going to draft another quarterback. Well, at that point, you don't want to play the best guy, that's available, because he's going to win you games, which means your pick is going to, be pushed back and back and back. So it depends on what the Browns want to do. We've clearly seen them say, we don't have any interest in winning. Why would we do that? Therefore, not starting the best available option. Or if they see him as the worst available option, maybe that fits the narrative there. So I guess it just depends where in the season this were to fall and what the circumstances would be.
Yeah, and I also don't think it's beyond the possibility that the Browns go out and get a veteran quarterback.
I agree.
Season, I could see them go pick up just from a backup experience level to have a capable backup, like a Jacoby Brissett type of guy. Like they could a serviceable kind of person.
Well, I am just at this point where we've seen this so many times. We've seen it so many times, and I don't want this to be this isn't a quarterback conversation. I don't want Deshaun Watson in his 21-day window to create this right now. But I cannot wait for the day that Deshaun Watson is no longer a Cleveland Brown, and we don't have to have these conversations about what happens if this happens and this. I just want them to draft or find or develop a quarterback that works and is the franchise guy, and we can just actually worry about winning games, right? And not have to live in conspiracy theory land. That is the worst. I hate it. I hate doing this.
Well, that sounds like a lottery ticket. So if you can go find me one of those.
We got 2 first-round picks. So it's you have to take the shot, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's where we're at with that. Also, another thing that happened, Malik Collins, David, we saw him get carted off. I want to talk about that. That's a huge injury to this defensive line. He's been playing great football. Really sucks to see that. He's, paired with Mason Graham on the interior, 2 of the reasons that Miles has been able to do what he's done this season. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. And that's a big blow to this defensive line, because he really was playing pretty well for this team. So it's a quad injury. We know during the game that he was carted off, as you said, and they announced that. Let's see, that was on yesterday. They announced he's going on injured reserve to end the season, and ultimately is going to have surgery for this injury, is what it sounds like. And so, to me, that sounds like, that's a pretty legit injury. It's some sort of avulsion, it's some sort of tear of the quadriceps muscle, where it probably pulled off the bone, is my best bet, whether it was the tendon above the kneecap or even up in the hip where it originates from. It likely was a tear off the bone, and that requires surgery. We've heard of plenty of linemen who have patellar tendon injuries. So a quadriceps, if it's a quad tendon injury, is quite similar. But guys can rehab and recover from it. We see in Kansas City, Josh Simmons suffered that or sustained that injury for Ohio State last year, and then ends up being their starter left tackle. And so guys can definitely recover from this and still have, meaningful time, especially I think on the defensive line. But it's a bummer for sure. And he's not, let's see. So, it's December right now. It's probably at least like a 9-month recovery. So he may or may not be ready for the start of next year. But I would say October at the latest for him, hopefully.
Yeah. What else? Anything?
Alex, as I say, any update on Alex Wright? That was one of the thoughts I had.
He did practice today. He was a limited participant, but he did participate. So he's also dealing with a quad injury. His, obviously, as a someone not on the IR, is probably more of a contusion or a partial tear or like a strain of the muscle. And so Beyond knowing that he had some limited time in practice, I don't have a major update, but I think that's good news. We'll see kind of how he progresses throughout the week, but just for that depth on the defensive line, obviously, it would be great if he can, come around and play on the weekend, but we'll see. I mean, looking at this injury report, it grew exponentially compared to the last week, unfortunately. And so just to kind of give you a rundown from the rest of it, we have, let's see, where do I start? We'll start from the top. Brendan Bates, backup tight end, did not practice ankle injury. It's not like he's seen a ton of time, but still it's depth there, especially because Njoku's been injured too. Joel Bitonio didn't practice, but it was just rest, thank God. Devin Bush, this is a big deal. He did not practice with a foot injury. We know how well he's been playing this season, and he's been the big piece kind of in the middle there for the Browns. And so if he doesn't go on Sunday, that definitely limits the middle of the defense there. Who else? Tyson Campbell, yeah. Hip injury, has been dealing with those limited. Big ones, really, I think that we want to hit on are the offensive line between Jack and Wyatt. Jack is struggling in terms of his injury history this year. This is his second concussion this season. He did not practice today. He's likely not going to play on Sunday. We know that he's had other injuries too. I mean, this might be, the writing might be on the wall in terms of kind of what he's got left in the tank for this team. And then on the other side with Wyatt in the interior, he's got a calf injury that kind of popped up that while Kevin, I think, said might be day-to-day, I think they're really kind of calling it week to week. So this sounds like a pretty significant calf strain where it's probably like a grade 2 sort of pull of the muscle, maybe some tearing of the muscle. He did not practice today. And so again, there's a good chance or likelihood that he doesn't play. And so, I mean, we're looking at for Sunday, Tevin Jenkins starting, probably Cornelius Lucas or KT Leviston starting. And so, I mean, we know these names, we know they've had reps, but it's a shame because, Ali, you said earlier, they probably had their best game of the year this past weekend, and then we get 2 major blows after the game. And so it's just salt in the wound. It's not, I don't know if I call it karma, but it is just, I feel like, inevitable as a Browns fan for this sort of thing to happen where great offensive line play, we're running the ball, there's a great yards per carry, and then boom, 2 starters out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, that injury. Oh, I'm not glad about the injury, but I'm glad that you brought that up because it kind of brings me to my next point of this offensive line. I want to talk about it. First, I want to tell you about our friend, Crystal John Toney. If you are looking to buy or sell real estate, maybe invest, do some renting, give her a call, 216-215-6663. She's the best in the business. You can email her at johntoneysells@gmail.com. I want to talk about the offensive line as we go into this next season. Obviously, as the year currently stands, right, we know that you can't make a trade. You can't really do much. You've got what you got as it pertains to this offensive line. Kind of a weird situation this past week with Wyatt Teller, who didn't kind of was splitting time with, Tevin Jenkins, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah.
I almost said another player for another team, so that's not correct. But between that and Joel having a down year, of course, the 2 tackle situations, battling through injury. I mean, let's just take a look at the future of this offensive line. You've got left tackle, question mark. So we can put a question mark there. You need a tackle. Left guard, maybe, the writing's on the wall there in terms of retirement. We knew that was a question coming into this season, if he was going to stay, go, what that was going to look like. Honestly, I'm surprised that he chose to stay. Possibly this is it for Joel. And then you've got Ethan Posich, who has also battled through his own injuries, has played pretty reliable football, but overall, still hasn't been 100% available. Then you've got Wyatt, who, Wyatt is going to be consistent. I think this is a little bit of a down year just in terms of his standard of play, if you will. But I think Wyatt and Ethan Posich are your 2 kind of surefire things right now. And then, of course, question marks at right tackle. You've got Jack, who just cannot stay on the field. So if you look at that, maybe going into next season, the only thing you may actually have is your center. You feel optimistic about Luke Whippler, come in and do some things. Zach Zinter has not been available all season, kind of a healthy scratch essentially all year. I really wouldn't expect them to elevate him in any capacity or have him playing any significant snaps. But really big issue, obviously, this year with the offensive line, but an even bigger one going into this next year.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like this is concerning. I mean, this is all hands on deck. This is like the alarms should be going off because these injuries are not getting better. These players are not getting younger. I mean, from the center over on the right side of the line, we're all over the age of 31. I mean, 34 for 34 for Batonio, Postage is 30, White Teller's 31, Jack Conklin's 31. And then like we know for offensive linemen, sure, there can be some longevity, but like not with the rate that they're going at. And so I think, like you said, can't really do much now in season, can't make any trades. I think one of those first round picks probably needs to be on a tackle. And then I think we need to hope that Vinter somehow turns around, gets developed, and Luke Whippler as well. And maybe at least with Whippler, they can move him over the guard. I mean, center and guard are fairly interchangeable. Those guys rotate around a lot. And so with that youth in Luke Whippler, who was, a big-time Division I starting center, he might be able to slide over and at least provide a little bit of help there. But I definitely think this needs to be addressed. This needs to be addressed in the draft with one of those first-round picks.
Or you have to have a huge free agency signing or make a trade because going into next season with that offensive line we're going to be having the same conversations, right? We're going to be saying the same thing about how a rookie quarterback can't see down the field.
Yep.
Ron Judkins can't average more than 2.5 a carry. And even with this, with DeJuan Jones, who we really love and think he's got such a high ceiling, he can't stay on the field. So this is just, you cannot have a good offense without a good offensive line, in my opinion.
I mean, look at the Raiders with Ashton Genty. Their offensive line's horrible. And, they're averaging 3 yards a carry because they're getting tackled in the backfield and you can't do anything when you're stifled and you can't run the ball. And of course, Judkins had over 100 yards this last week, which was great to see. And to your point, David, now we're in injury mode going into this. Now, of course, our opponent is not a very great opponent, at least. So we have that to think for this week, but we got the Bills and we got some pretty tough outs down the stretch here. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just a tough place to be. And if you want to do anything over the stretch of the next few seasons and have a run at anything, you've got to figure this out. And the window closes quickly. We've even seen it in David with the Lions, how they had last year the best offensive line in football, a couple of injuries here and there. It's not the same anymore. And we saw this with the Browns a couple of years ago, the best offensive line in football. Nick Chubb was having a career year, and then it wasn't. Then it just quickly dissipates. And you're very quick to point the fingers. Hey, Bill Callahan leaves. It's got to be that. It's got to be the problem. But I think it was a combination of that plus aging plus bad offense, just so many things contributing. And you want to do anything, you've got to figure this out.
I was gonna say I am intrigued for the Big Ten championship game this year because obviously Mendoza is one of those at the top. Mm-hmm. This will be the toughest defense that Mendoza has faced all year, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles that adversity and going up against a Patricia type of defense, a guy that coached Super Bowls, right? It'll be interesting to see how he performs on a big level like this. I'm excited to watch the game just to see. I mean, he's made some really good throws. He's been really good this year, but now this will be his biggest test before going in the playoffs. Yeah,
definitely. It's gonna be a good game.
I got some more. Unfortunately, I got some more. Not that, this is what we're here for, the medical moment. I know we've already talked about the depth that's being lost on the offensive line, but it's also happening on the defensive line. We know, like we said, Alex Wright with his quad injury, Malik Collins, Aiden Huntington did not practice, also with a quad injury. Isaiah McGuire did not practice with a knee injury. It's getting grim out there. I don't love it. Some other things that popped up in Njoku, we know he's been kind of on and off, limited with a knee injury. He was limited in practice today. Schlesinger was listed as limited with his ankle, but we know that guy's going to tough it out. And
Tiger's blood. He's good.
You got to cut a limb off to get that guy off the field. And one other one that is concerning is Dylan Sampson also popped up with a calf injury and did not practice today. And we have seen some explosiveness out of him. We've really liked kind of seeing him get involved in the passing game. And if he's not going to be able to go, which again, this is Wednesday, we have 2 more days of practice, but that really kind of limits the variety on the offense and the substitutions when you have just Quinchon and Jerome Ford. So it is not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on the injury report today. But again, a lot of these were limited, did not practice, maybe cautionary. We'll see how things go Thursday and Friday, and hopefully majority of these are able to go on Sunday. But we have reached that point in the season.
We have reached that point, and we've got a team here.
You know what I haven't seen a lot of is Sanders. I haven't seen him in a lot of I mean, he might be able to have to go this week. Not Shador. I'm talking about.
Oh.
What are you talking about? Rocket Sanders?
Raheem?
Yeah.
Rocket?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's listed on the depth chart. So
yeah,
I think he's part of the active roster right now.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see because I haven't seen a lot of. I mean, he had some pretty good success early in the season, and he's kind of just not. It'd be interesting to see him back out there because he's got some speed, you know. So,
yeah, David, quick question here. I mean, we're at this point in the season, right, where when you start kind of seeing that, hey, we're not really going to be able to do anything or make a playoff push. Do any of these guys maybe start to slow it down? I think a lot of these players, a lot of who you mentioned. Personally, they would say, no, I want to play. But, depending on the injury, right, that could be a conversation.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I think especially the older guys on the offensive line, I think we could easily see someone like Jack kind of being like, just day to day, did not practice, or even, I don't know if they put him on the IR, but just kind of unavailable sort of thing. I think that's a real possibility for David Njoku. I mean, just because Harold Fannin's been having such a great year, let the rookie eat, let David kind of get healthy and see what he's got coming up. Because obviously we know this has been quite a down season for him. Even like Denzel Ward, I could potentially see that. He is on the injury report with a hip injury and limited in practice. And we know he is he is a regular. I mean, he's got a punch card for the injury report. And so these guys who are vets who we want to see have some longevity and maybe still get a couple good years out of them, I think it's a very real possibility with only 14, 15, 16, 5 games remaining, that we start to see guys really not out there as much. And maybe that's kind of what was happening with Wyatt in that kind of weird rotation. I mean, I know they said maybe there was an undisclosed injury. Maybe he was kind of, kind of still like something was lingering. And so they were just trying to kind of ease him back into it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see more kind of rotations just to limit snaps for older guys who might have some lingering injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jason, I sure hope we have more than 6 wins next year. I can't. I need a winning season.
That would be nice. That would be ideal. But we'll see. We'll see how this. And want to tell our listeners about Southern Tier.
Yeah, guys, Southern Tier Brewing. If you haven't been to their brewery, check them out in downtown Cleveland. It's also where you can pick up the amazing. Here we go, Brownies Brown Ale. That's right. Pick it up. And then, of course, join us December 18th at 7:30 for an awesome Christmas party. We're going to have, of course, Greg Pruitt will be there, by the way. It'll be Hanford Dixon will be there, Kevin Mack, Bob Golick. I believe we're also going to have Josh Cribbs and Maria. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of different players down there. And we're going to do some silent auction items for Bernie. In his fight with the medical stuff. And by the way, he's back out of the hospital. He got discharged as of yesterday. But, man, I can't imagine going through a liver transplant. That's such a crazy thing to do. And the fact that it's crazy to place any organ in somebody to deal with is quite a traumatic situation to deal with. And the fact that he's in as good a spirits as he is kind of remarkable. So,
yeah. All right, let's give our keys to a victory. How do the Browns do this one? Dustin, let me start with you here.
Show up and score 28 points. No, just kidding. Let's see. How do the Browns win on Sunday? Well, I would.
So real quick, being that this is you're playing a team that you should beat. This is a team that you should beat. Let's.
Yeah, they have one win, right?
The Titans did
Yes.
have one. Okay, so this is a team you are better than. Like, your defense should absolutely suffocate what they can do offensively, which is not much. So with that, I want to just take this segment real quick to kind of approach it from maybe a little bit of a different lens and get away from fundamentals, like specifically what has to happen here. Because we have seen, and the reason I'm saying this is because we have seen the Browns have found so many different ways to lose. What is a new way that they can find a way to win?
Nice.
The recipe for them this year has been long, sustained drives. If they can put 6, 7, 8 minute drives together, this team has been really successful at putting wins on the board. When they've done that specifically, those kind of drives, they've been pretty darn successful this year. So I would say if you can put some long sustained drives of running the ball, vertical throws downfield, but I'm just saying for this game specifically, I'd say time of possession. If you can dominate the time of possession in this football game on a cold, wintry day in Cleveland, that would be my X's and O's that the Cleveland Browns would need to do on this one. And then honestly, as far as the offensive side of the ball, I think you need to have your playmakers get over 100 yards again. I think specifically you need to have Quinshon Judkins have another game where he gets over 100 yards and possibly get some of your other guys, if Dylan can't go, but some of these other guys with significant and run the ball and do some long sustained drive. Because that's the only way that I think the Browns can – they can't play from behind. That's the problem with this football team. They strategically just don't play well from behind. So I think they need to get a lead and stick with it and have long possession drives to win this football game on Sunday.
David.
All right. So on the defense side of the ball, Miles needs 2 sacks. We need a total of 5 sacks from that defensive line. I think we can combine for 5 sacks. That is going to put a rookie quarterback on his heels under a lot of pressure, which will then lead to an interception. So 2 sacks from Miles, 5 sacks from the team, and at least 1 pick from that secondary is the key on the defense for getting a victory here. I understand that kind of includes turnovers, but what I'm saying is that defensive line pressure is going to cause that interception because he's going to get flustered, he's going to be moving around in the pocket, and he's going to kind of lose his fundamentals a little bit. And so I think if we can hit those numbers, if the Browns can hit those numbers on defensive line, that's going to produce what they need to get the win done from the offensive side of the line. So the Titans here are giving up the 4th highest completion percentage to quarterbacks over this season. Overall, it is 69%. In that, they're also giving up like the 3rd highest yards per attempt. And so I think if Shedeur can keep it above 68% in terms of completion and have at least 7 completions to running backs and tight ends combined, that is a winning formula. That is sound fundamental football. That is getting the ball out early to your players, to your playmakers. And we have seen his relationship and his connection with Fannin flourish already, and he scored a touchdown last week. Let's get another one this week. So I think at least 7 completions to running backs and tight ends combined, along with a 68% or higher passing completion percentage, is going to get the job done for the offense.
Yeah, an extension off of kind of what you said here, David. I want to start with special teams. They found us several ways to lose on Sunday. They need to be one of the reasons that they find ways to win, and you do that by being a net positive. Obviously, you have to be at least a net neutral. They have to find a way to be net positive and kind of course correct from where they have been in previous weeks. So that's my number 1 here. 2, David, you talk about a couple of sacks in this game. Specifically, what I want to see is Carson with another 9-10-ish tackle game. He had 10 on Sunday. I want to see that again. He is always at the point of attack. He is always making a play. That needs to continue. He reads it, he diagnoses it, and I love the way he can collapse on the ball. I want to see Quinshon similarly to Sunday with over 4 a carry. And that's also an extension off of better offensive line play. Clearly, we don't know what that's going to look like, who's going to be available, who's not. So that's obviously playing into this, but I would like to see that. And Shedeur Sanders, big day for Shedeur, in Allie's opinion here with what I would like to see from him. I want to see over 200 passing yards. 225 would be just beautiful. I'd love to see that. Clean football. Obviously, you can't turn the ball over, but I would also like to see him make some plays with his legs. And I think in doing that, that keeps his eyes downfield, trying to extend the play. And that's not something that we really saw on Sunday. So I'd like to see him with maybe 15, 20 or more rushing yards in addition to his passing yards. And I think you can do that. If you can have Shedeur with over 200, yards of offense, George, just alone with Shedeur, I mean, you feel good enough to come away with maybe an ugly win against a bad Tennessee team. So,
I mean, could we see 250 or 3? Is that crazy to think? 250 to 300 yards?
I think that's possible. I do. I don't know. I think maybe that is a little bit ambitious, but look, now, I think
now here's the crazy thing. This is the conspiracy theorist Browns fan coming out. If we lose this game, doesn't this significantly raise our draft stock?
It does.
Like we go from like a 5 to a 2, maybe a 1, don't we at that point? I mean,
I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, if you lose this one, I mean, you're going to be in a better position to make a selection. And
yeah, I mean, you could literally win to not. I mean, I thought about that. I was like, man, if you lose to the Titans, you could have the number 1 or 2 pick in the NFL draft. Then you aren't having to give up a ransom to get a quarterback. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of crazy to think that way, but I mean, I've seen crazier.
That has been the recipe for the past 3 years, right? Like that's nothing new here.
No, I'm saying to your help for next year, you're not having to mortgage your future for say, you know what I mean? Right.
It's in their best interest to not win more games. I mean, if we're being honest here.
Yeah.
It is in their best interest to lose the rest of the season, which sucks. That sucks. But yeah, that's the reality of our situation. Want to tell you about our friends over at Greater Cleveland Aquarium, guys. They've got a great setup there, great exhibits for your family. You can head on over there, skip the Browns game, and head on over to Greater Cleveland Aquarium.
That's terrible.
I'm just kidding. But go do it. It's they've got a great setup there, great exhibits, and while you're at it, you're downtown. You want to maybe take a peek at the beautiful skyline of Cleveland. You can head on over to our friends over at Lady Caroline Cruise Ship. They're very Browns friendly. You can get great views of the stadium. Looks like we just lost connection to Facebook, guys. Not sure what's going on there. I'll see if I can fix this while we're at it. But Dustin, real quick, if you can just continue to tell our listeners about Lady Caroline.
Yeah, guys. Lady Caroline, if you're looking to do some fun stuff over on Lady Caroline, they're going to have a New Year's cruise. That's right, a New Year's cruise, New Year's Eve, to go down there and check out all the wonderful things at Lady Caroline. Also, guys, if you're looking for a nice thing for the holidays, go check out our great friends over at, that's right, Lake Erie Distillery. Check them out. They have the amazing Burning River cinnamon whiskey. They also have the dill pickle vodka and a bunch of different bourbons to try out. So check them out. You can pick them up at their actual distillery in Willoughby, Ohio, or ask for it where you can get it at locally here in Cleveland and in greater Northeast Ohio.
There you go. I don't know what happened with Facebook. I'm trying to reconnect. It's giving me some trouble here. I don't think I can do it while we're currently live.
Okay.
But that's okay. We are just going to make our selections here. So, David, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
That is kind of crazy. It just kind of went away. I saw the same thing.
Never happened before. So apologies to our listeners on Facebook. Obviously, can't even hear my apology. But
we still have Instagram going here. I can see we still are live on YouTube and still live on Twitter. Maybe we are. I'm assuming we are. Yeah.
Well, it seems to be a Facebook issue, not an issue with our stream. So I don't know. All right, let's get into it. Dustin, let's make some picks. I got you last week, so I'm up now 7-1-2, and you were unfortunately down 1-7-2. So let's get into it.
Okay.
And let me pull up the games here. Sorry, I'm a little bit unprepared. What the heck, Allie? We're going to start with tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football, Cowboys at Lions.
Ooh, this is going to be a spicy game here. I hate to say it. The Cowboys are looking good.
Yeah.
I feel like did the Lions lose? Yeah, they lost to the Packers, right? On Thanksgiving. They desperately need a win, so I'm going to take the Lions. They are needing to position themselves, especially with the Bears. I think, they're a must-win. I think I'm going to go Lions.
This one, they're playing at home. I'm going to take the Lions here too. Titans at Browns.
Titans at Browns. Browns.
Seahawks at Falcons.
Seahawks, they're pretty good.
Yeah, Falcons are pretty bad. So I'm going to take the Seahawks here. Colts at Jags.
Man, where have the Jags come out of nowhere? I know it hurts our pick, but I kind of have to take the Jags. They're kind of hot right now.
They are. I'm going to take the Colts. I think they get a bounce back here. I'm gonna go with the Colts on the road. Commanders at Vikings.
What's that?
I said two struggling teams right now.
Who's at quarterback for the Commanders? Do we know?
It's Marcus Mariota currently.
Give me the Vikings at home. It's a tough place to play in the Dome. Give me the Vikings.
Yeah, man, I'm going to take the Commanders here. I think that they're a little bit better. Vikings are just on the struggle bus, but toss up here. Bengals at Bills.
Bills.
I'm going to go with the Bills here. Saints at Bucks.
Bucks.
Yep, same. Steelers at Ravens.
Ravens.
Ravens. Dolphins at Jets.
Dolphins.
Yep, Dolphins. Broncos at Raiders.
Broncos.
Yep. Rams at Cardinals.
Rams.
Yes, although they had a tough outing, bounce back. Rams are, I think they're.
That was a weird game. I agree. Yeah, but I think they're still the Rams.
Yeah,
right?
they're still elite currently. Bears at Packers. That's gonna be an interesting one.
I think this is where the Bears get a little bit of coming down to earth. I'm gonna go Packers here.
I agree. Texans at Chiefs.
Man, I'd love for the Chiefs to lose again.
I think it's possible.
They're playing pretty good football. I feel like they're 6-6, right? The Chiefs are 6-6.
That's right. Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are desperate. I think they have to win. Give me the Chiefs.
I agree. I'm going to take the Chiefs here because I think that they have
They have to win out and get help. Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah.
It is weird. And then last but not least, Eagles at Chargers.
You know what? Give me. What are the two games that I've got the Jags.
Yeah, I have the Colts. You have the Jags. I have the Commanders. You have the Vikings.
Give me this is, you said Eagles at Chargers, right?
This is Eagles at Chargers.
Give me the Chargers.
All right, I'm going to go with the Eagles here. So we've got 3 differences. All right, I've got it written down. Jason, I don't know if you can see this, but no, the show didn't end. We just lost our stream. We've got Leslie here. He's got a Bernie Kosar jersey, so that's really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah. So like I said, we're on every other stream except Facebook.
Seems to be a Facebook issue, but we'll see how this goes. All right, Dustin, any closing thoughts here as we wrap up?
No, I'm torn because I want a great quarterback for the Browns for the next decade, and the team that can, help us is the Tennessee Titans. But I also don't like watching losing football, so I'm a torn Browns fan. So I'll be cheering for them to win on Sunday, and will not be shocked if they lose.
If they win, that's great. If they lose, okay, that maybe is a step in the right direction for what we do in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm excited to watch Big Ten Championship this weekend. That's going to be exciting. That's going to be a great game. And then, of course, you'll have the playoffs. And my Boise State Broncos somehow miraculously got into the Mountain West Championship game. By the way, stupid. It was a 4-way tie, and they go after computer rankings. 4 computers decide who the 2 teams are. It's the weirdest thing ever. I'm glad to go to the Pac-12 next year. That's so odd and weird. So it'll be fun to watch football this weekend.
Yeah,
all the way around.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy. And as always, Browns fans, go Browns.
Go Browns.
S-O